Well, for starters, much of the loved music from the Castlevania series does not appear in this game, which is a real shame too. Still, the music they used, it did work for this game, and it really did add to the tense, creepy horror game vibe that it's supposed to give out. Still, I think it would have been nice to hear, I don't know, maybe the Belmont theme or Bloody Tears, heck, even Vampire Killer would have been nice. Now, I'm not complaining, I love the music in this game, but it only works for this game. Sound effects wise, it's great, especially the environments in the Tower of Execution. All those death traps going off is enough to make anybody a little jumpy, myself included. Gotta love that about this stage though, it's just so much going on and it really adds the whole creepy vibe, and the sound effects really add to this game a lot. The first time I played Castlevania 64 is when I rented it from Hollywood Video during my junior year. The first thing I remember is when I was walking in the Forest of Silence and all of a sudden, boom, the tree explodes from the lightning. Now, I don't know about you, but I jumped out of my seat when that happened. It scared me because I wasn't expecting it, and then the second tree just caught on fire. In Legacy, only one tree gets hit, unlike two in Castlevania 64. Plus, you're already expecting the tree to burst into flames, so you're not really scared by it. Also, later on in the game, it's one of the first times that I ever saw a vampire character trying to kill themselves. Now, Rose is conflicted about being a vampire, and she doesn't want to live anymore, so she tries to kill herself by stepping into sunlight. Now, to tell you the truth, I was surprised that this scene stayed in the game in North America, because Nintendo America left that scene in, but most of the time they always censored stuff. Especially in the NES and SNES days, all the censoring, anything offensive, or anything Christian related has always been removed from video games. Especially the fact that Reinhardt says the word God, and it wasn't censored or in lower cases. That's pretty awesome. On January 24th, 1999 is when Castlevania 64 first hit store shelves. Then in March it came to Japan, and May it came to the UK. Now, Castlevania 64 was the first in the series to really jump to 3D. It also had a very detailed plot, and very similar to Symphony of the Night. The game also had overlapping story with two main endings. The game starred two characters of Belmont and Beldez descendants. A child was the focus of the whole game, and the child was actually the Lord of Darkness in disguise himself. Now, this was a huge plot twist and a major change to the Castlevania canon. Dracula was reborn as another character, and this concept would be reused in Aria of Sorrow. This also gave the series a much darker and sinister tone. Sadly, this game was removed from the official timeline. Castlevania Apocalypse, as it's called in Japan, was originally called Dracula 3D. The game was to star Reinhardt and three other characters. The day-to-night system would be similar to Simon's Quest, where during the day you were safe and at night you were dead. The game was also going to be very big that it would have to use the 64 disk drive. The Vampire Killer was going to have a more detailed use like in Super Castlevania, but some of those actions did appear in whip form in Lament of Innocence. The game was going to be massive and take place all over Wallachia and be open-ended. Reinhardt would be able to use the whip to swing across platforms and travel places other characters couldn't. Each character would have their own super moves. Sadly, only Cornell would make use of this by turning into a werewolf. The creature was going to be a playable character and appear to act like Ash Williams from Evil Dead series. Most importantly, Reinhardt Snyder's last name was originally Belmont. You heard me correctly, he was called Belmont until the game was delayed due to high sales of Ocarina of Time. For some reason, Konami decided to abandon the Belmont name entirely. Out of the four original characters, three made it into Legacy of Darkness, although Cornell's appearance changed and his ability to become a werewolf. Legacy of Darkness arrived 10 months after the first N64 game, and the game starred Cornell and brought back most of the beta stages from Dracula 3D. It also added a new character from Cornell's story, Henry. It should also be noted that both Henry and Frankenstein have the chainsaw and gun in the same hand as the dropped fourth character. Still, I think they should have kept Frankenstein as a hero and Henry too. Then there would have been 5 heroes. Today I'm going to guide you gamers through the dreaded garden maze. Everyone who has played this game hates this part of the game the most, and I agree with them. However, there is a trick to beating this without losing your mind. First and foremost, make sure you're leveled up to the max so you can use the Flame Whip, and have at least 3 of either the Axe or Holy Water. Okay, next you want to attack the dogs as often as possible. Most of the time you'll have to kill them at least twice before fighting Frankie. When fighting him, aim for his head. If you're low on health, he drops chicken, but if you stay around him too long, you're asking for a rematch sooner than you wanted. Malice tends to run much faster than you, so if you don't know where you're going to go, you might end up panicking. So once you calm down, there's a trick to following Malice. I do understand that it's hard not to get lost in this game, so just listen to these directions very closely, and I'm not going to be able to show them because this actual trick takes a good 10 minutes to run through the maze. After opening the first door, go right, straight, past the arch, then right 3 times, and you pass the arch. Then go left twice, and finally right. You should be in this area now, and be ready to fight the garden dogs. After the cutscene plays and the worst is over and done with, you've beat that part. Sorry, I'm not too good with the whole commentary thing. This cutscene here, I wouldn't say it's pointless, but you walk out the door, Malice looks back at you kind of mocking like. You open the door for him because obviously he can't open the door for himself. But at least this trick works with Cornell and Henry, so you don't have to go through the whole thing all over again without being, oh man, what am I supposed to do now? When playing as Cornell, especially the Ortega fight, you want to go wolf power. Even if you're only throwing blue energy scythe things, the damage you take from him is real bad in your human form. The thing that you really have to watch out for when fighting Ortega is he likes to fly around a lot and stomp on the ground, so if you just keep running around in a circle and keep shooting him, you'll be pretty much okay. And actually, once he flies up into the air and starts shooting these circled rings at you, jump through the rings and don't touch them, and you won't really get any damage from them at all. And then just basically run around him and shoot him again until he's dead. It's a pretty easy boss fight if you follow directions, but if you get too close to him, you're going to get nailed. The trick with this part of the clock tower is to slide down at this point exactly. If you do it wrong, then you're going to fall to your death. I know, you're probably wondering, why are you telling us about this certain part of the stage? Well, believe it or not, a lot of people end up dying here and then they don't play the game. Finally, for the star room, the correct order is 2, 4, and 8. To avoid fighting the demon salesman, don't purchase more than $300,000 worth of stuff. Even if you do fight him, you will get the good ending, so don't worry about that. To avoid getting the bad ending, don't use more than 4 of either the Sun or the Moon cards. If you do, you'll fight Vincent Vampire and get the bad ending. Unless, of course, you want the bad ending, because Vincent Vampire is a pretty cool boss fight. But you didn't hear that from me. Dracula's final form is pretty easy if you remember these important elements. Number 1, do not let those nuke balls hit you. Number 2, do not get hit by the flame dragons. Number 3, make sure you have saved the medical kits for this fight only. They really help take the sting out of those killer hits that he can give you. Number 4, run around in a circle and only hit Dracula with either ranged weapons or the flame whip. But don't get too close. If you do, he's going to turn you into chop suey. And that pretty much does it. If you stick to this formula, then you're going to win. If you guys need any more help, then please drop by the Kwing forum site and check out Gaming 101. That's all I pretty much have to say on the subject.